All right, so there's a lot of talk about psychedelic use and the benefits in our world today. It's become a very strong talking point in our culture. And I just wanted to highlight a couple things that I've noticed and observed within my own experience in running medicine journeys in the past, as well as some of the things I've observed with people that I know and, people that I've read about who have been really, challenged by these things and haven't really been able to make the transition from using the medicines in a way that's healthful, that is responsible, and that is under the guidance of people who can actually help them throughout the process, and people who are more just kind of using them in a way that's willy-nilly, for lack of a better term. And so, I've noticed a couple people that have been close to me have sort of gone off the rails with these medicines and with these journeys. I had one friend who, spent a lot of time down in the jungle of Peru, and he was already a little bit, not really making good progress in his life. He was challenged in a lot of areas in terms of just being able to handle the day-to-day adulting, that we all have to take care of, the business of our families, our work life, as well as our social lives and things like that. And so, I think he saw these medicines and these experiences with the medicine as a way to really help him attain deeper insights into his higher self, get clear messages from, guides of the universe and maybe plant spirits and things like that. But, what I saw when he came back was that it seemed to have increased his sense of delusion and his inability to cope with just the normal day-to-day functioning of everyday life. And, this it saddens me to see this person kind of slip into a hole and a sort of a downward path of degradation when these medicines can actually be very, very powerful. I mean, I've used them myself. I've guided other people with their use as well. But one thing that's really overlooked so often is that integration is absolutely integral and necessary to make sense of these powerful experiences and to help shape them into something that's going to end up being a positive for us instead of something that ends up being either a crutch or causing us to have, these mindsets that just don't track with leading a healthy, successful, goal-oriented, and structured way of living. And of course, maybe being super goal-oriented or being super structured isn't for everyone at this particular time, but at least being able to handle your business, at least being able to manage the things that you need to take care of in your day-to-day so that you're living a life that is, that is at least not downward spiraling and leading you to a place of dependency or complete, disillusionment or delusion. And so this is a real challenge I've noticed in the community. And often even people with very, very well-meaning intentions, they just simply don't have the capacity to know how to help people integrate these experiences, as well as a lot of times the people leave the experiences with maybe just a sheet of paper, some guidelines, things to focus on at best. And so that doesn't really leave them with a whole lot of support. And so first and foremost, I'd like to point out that it takes a long time to learn how to do self-integration work, whether it's in the context of medicine journeys or just in your own healing path. It's not something that you can just get like that. I mean, from my own experience, I first started doing this work about, 17 years or so ago, and I made progress. Like I definitely made gains, and I learned how to work with the tools to bring about healing and understanding within myself. But even still, the path was long. People seem to expect sometimes that if they just learn this tool, they can start doing this process and they should be fine. Like they often even get frustrated, like why isn't it working fast enough? And they can sort of compare themselves to other people who have been on this path for a long time, and they see where they're at and they think like, well, they're teaching me these tools. I should just be able to get it just like that. But it takes time. It takes a long time. It takes commitment, dedication. And, it takes practice more than everything. It takes a lot of practice to learn how to work with these tools and to get the most benefit out of them. Now, I'm certainly not saying that you can't get immediate benefit. You can. But the journey is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So you have to keep that in mind. Another thing is that paying for integration services from a qualified integration specialist can get very costly very quickly. in my experience, they usually charge about $150 to $300 per session. Sessions last about an hour. And so, I would probably recommend if someone was going to go through something like that, that they schedule six interactions, 6 sessions with that integration specialist. But, let's just say an average of $200 per session, that's $1,200, which might be a lot of money for some people. They might not really see the cost to benefit, as being something that's really worth it to them, even though I highly think that it is. If you're working with someone who's qualified, that's a small price to pay. But even still, we're spreading those integration sessions out over weeks and weeks, sometimes months. And so, you have a session initially after the experience maybe, and then maybe it's a week or two before you meet with that person again. A lot can happen in between those sessions, and people need support immediately. Like the experience is so profound. Oftentimes for people, it's completely mind-blowing. It can shatter their paradigms, make them just be like in the state of, what the, you know what I'm saying? So like, it's very necessary to learn how to make sense of these and really, again, I'm using the word again, but integrate them into our daily living so that it's not just some peak experience that we had or something that shattered our paradigms, but then we become like sort of non-functional, because what can happen is, let's say if you've been, going about creating goals and shaping your life based on certain things, and some of those things might be like maladaptive programs that got imbued into us, that trained into us from childhood. And let's say your motivation has become based on proving your worth, like being good enough, being a good boy or good girl, etc., right? And so that's where your motivation for doing your work comes from. And then all of a sudden, the medicine journey explodes that. It just annihilates that sense of needing to prove your worth to someone else to be good enough. But then the problem can be, if you don't have that driver anymore, well, what's causing you to feel motivated to actually get up and do things to move your life forward? And so I've seen this happen a number of times as well, where people get really challenged after one of these experiences where they have this big breakthrough, they have this incredible freedom, but then it doesn't really last or translate into a life that's healthful, integrated, and moving them forward in a way that's beneficial to them and their families and their communities. So again, this is another challenge with this. So a solution that I've developed is developing this program I've called the Embodied Freedom Challenge. And so what it is it's a 30-day challenge where you have access to a tool that you can use daily as often as you like, and it's incredibly intuitive, and you can do the process in a way that's self-guided, so you're not dependent necessarily on a coach, although I do make myself available to help really guide people to get the most out of these tools. And they're able to access me either through our community or through the online chats or the videos that I've created, as well as the materials like a roadmap and a guidebook to help them step by step each day know what to focus on, what to highlight about their experience, and what they can really kind of narrow down as like the most important things to work on in this period of time, so they can really get the most. And this isn't just for people on, who've taken medicine journeys. This is for anyone who's been feeling challenged in their life, who's been stuck in some area, or maybe they've been dealing with a tragedy in their lives, like a breakup or a death in their family, something like this, or even a change of career and things like that, or they've lost friends, they become more isolated, and they don't really know what is wrong. Like, what do I do? I've been trying to do everything that I know to make progress, but it's just not working with the speed or efficacy that I would like to. And so that's one of the main reasons that inspired me to create this program, because honestly, I was dealing with a lot of that stuff myself. And so I got to a point where I was kind of stuck in my career and in my relationships. And, even though I've got these great tools, I've been using these tools for many years, and I've made massive progress using them. But even still, I hit this plateau. And for a while, it was just like every day, these certain things that I couldn't move the needle on, even though all these other areas of my life were working very well. But there was a couple areas where I was really stuck in relationships and in my career. And, I just had gotten to the point to where I was not making progress, and it was getting to the point to where this was like eating at me every single day. And so that's one of the things that inspired me to create this program. And it's been incredibly life-changing for me and for the men that I've been working with in the challenge. And so I just want to make people aware of this deep issue, and specifically in the context on this video of medicine work and how important it is to do the integration work, and and not just to try to do it on your own, but to find the support and the containers so that you can get the most out of that experience and you don't go off the rails and just end up spiraling, and that you can look back on that situation as a very profound moment of your life that you were able to gain deep and lasting clarity from, and use that experience to drive you forward into becoming the most authentic, most unapologetic, most naturally expressive version of yourself that you're capable of. And when you do this, you'll look back on that experience with appreciation and gratitude rather than chasing the next experience or being stuck in that same cycle of, this worked for a little while, but then it stops working, and what do I do now? That can be very overwhelming to people. And so I encourage you, if this resonates with you, to reach out, send me a message, drop me a comment. Let me know if you like more information. I'll be starting the program as an official launch in the next couple weeks, so you can check that out when it's launched, embodiedmen.com. And in the meantime, if you reach out to me, we have a beta group that's been going on initially, and they've been getting incredible results. So if you're interested and if you really need support now and you don't want to wait for that, reach out to me as soon as you can, and we'll get you started in the beta program. I look forward to meeting you. I look forward to seeing you and working with you and helping you become the most authentic and highest version of yourself that is possible. And so with that, I'll leave you. Thank you very much for watching. Much love to you. I hope that you are having an amazing day, and I would love to meet you and talk to you and see if we can work together to bring these changes about within